still have about 26% of kids who are using it totally out of the class scenario. Now, one message that I like to get through to high school teachers is that Best Choice is not just for exam revision, because it's actually been created as a learning tool. It hasn't been just created as an exam revision thing. Telling your students about it doesn't necessarily mean they'll use it. You know, I wrote to this Central North Island teacher, said, we're all great, but I'm disappointed that homework I gave my year 12s, only half of the class actually registered. Well, see, she was assuming all this time her class was using Best Choice, but she hadn't looked at her reporting system to see that they actually were, and that makes a big difference. The other interesting thing is to help your students avoid the exam panic. Now, this is a plot of quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 for 2007 and 2008. And you can see that in 2007, toward the exam, everything goes up. In 2008, we've got less of an up toward the exam because we now got more kids enrolled in classes. Okay? But the ones that aren't enrolled in classes are still doing this type of thing. I'm going to come on to it at the last minute. They really should be doing pen and paper problems at that stage. If we actually view Best Choice as a learning tool to be used throughout the year, not just at the end of the year, and that's the way I think people who have classes are finding it, the usage in classes, of students in classes, is twice as high as the ones who aren't in classes. Okay? Also, the usage of students who are in classes is at a more appropriate time of the year. See, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 drop. The same thing happens here. Okay? So the kids who have been using it throughout the year recognize now it's time to go and do the pen and paper problems. And that's the way, it's my view of how it should be used. I've just some statistics about what the kids have been saying. We have a survey at the end of every module. We had 1,571 comments entered this year, a big increase from last year. 61% compliments, 19% criticisms, and 20% suggestions. And I can assure you they are very revealing about how I can improve and how to help. They're helping me to teach them. The ratings, we have a 6-point scale, and they can click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and the maximum being 6. The response number was 9,000, over 9,000 in 2008. Significant increase. The average is a little bit lower, but I mean, when you consider the percentage increase, it's not bad. 79 to 76% of these were either 4, 5s, or 6s. That's the tops rate. And what blows me away is that 30% were the top rating overall. Okay? And I just got very few comments from 2008. I like this first one. I must be a chemistry geek because that was so much fun. That was the day before the exam. This was very useful, made me revise things I might have forgotten. It had a good way of showing things. Lewis diagrams are made so easy. I mean, these are all in the week before the exam. And I like the new scoring system when it lets you do what you've done wrong as well as you've done right, because we just put up this first right answers thing. So that's all pretty positive generally. There's not a big difference between year 13, year 12, and year 11. And that's a little bit of a surprise to me. I would have thought that as you got down lower, you might lose it a bit, especially since I'm coming from a university background. But this is a very representative statistics. Now, this is the South Island, and South Islanders really do feature very largely. We have this new thing in Best Choice on the cover page where the top 10 students in the top 10 classes, and also on the cover page for New Zealand high schools as a whole, top 10, and for each year 11, year 12, and year 13. Now, where are some South Islanders feature? In the top 10 overall students, James Hargis in Vicarville, and one of their students did 6,183 marks. Each one of those little answers is a mark, so that's a lot of answers. Year 13, Logan Park, and there's my Logan Park men back there. 2 students who appear on the top 10 for year 13. And that means they've done everything in that course. Kashmir High School, another one, and one from James Hargis, also in the year 13 group. And then in year 12, we've got one from James Hargis. So that's really very positive. Now in the top 10 current classes, Ellesmere College is over 1,000 marks per student, and this one makes the front page. Logan Park just also features very largely here, year 13, James Hargis, Unlimited, that's a Christchurch school, James Hargis and James Hargis. So there really is a lot of South Island kids who are using Best Choice, and I can do this for any locality. I did it for Wellington on Tuesday. I'd just like to thank the programmer, who's my wonderful magic programmer, the active users of Best Choice, and we've got a platinum group here who've done questions on more than 1,000 pages, and some of those top high school kids are amongst that group. And then funding is a terrible struggle to get, but I've been funded by the University of Auckland and then the Royal Society of Chemistry in the UK, because we also support A-levels, and the Ministry of Education in New Zealand. Thank you.